Let's discuss the outline for the final paper. First, look over the final paper instructions in week 5 of your online course or on pages 9 to 12 of the Components of Course Evaluation section of the course guide. The outline you create should be 2 to 3 pages long. You should also have a reference page in APA format with at least 2 scholarly resources other than the textbook and the 2012 National Intelligence Council report, Global Trends 2030 Alternative Worlds. Use the outline structure found under the Assignment tab of Week 3 to create your outline. This outline structure is also found under pages 28 to 29 of the Student Course Guide. Mimic the outline that is already there. Remember to choose one of the 4 worlds from Global Trends 2030 you did not discuss in your Week 2 assignments. These worlds are stalled engines on pages 110 to 115, fusion on pages 116 to 121, genie out of the bottle on pages 122 to 127, and the non-state world on pages 128 to 133. And they're all found in the Global Trends 2030 booklet. The introduction will have your thesis statement and summarize what you will do in the paper. You may find yourself completing this work last. Also, keep your introduction in your outline clear and concise. Identify what world you are analyzing. Identify what theory you are using to conduct analysis. Identify your policy recommendations and list what you are going to do. Keep it brief. For main point 1, you will select one theoretical approach or school which you think is best for analyzing the world you selected. For some reason, students will often skip this point. Do not do so. As a reminder, the theories of international relations include realism, liberalism, economic structuralism, the English school of rationalism, feminism, constructivism, postmodernism, and critical theory. Pick one to analyze the world that you have selected. For main point 2, identify and summarize the global security situation and security issues. Is the globe in the United States more or less safe, and why? How does your theory explain this? Now, at the end of each alternative world section are 2 pages entitled How Game Changers Shape Scenario and How Major Powers Fare in Scenario. You may want to look at these 2 pages first to get an idea of what's going on. For example, if you choose to write about the stalled engine scenario, you may want to review pages 114 to 115 to get an idea of what's going on. For main point 3, you identify and summarize the global economic situation. Is the globe in the United States more or less prosperous, and why? How does your theory explain this? Once again, you may want to look at the 2 pages entitled How Game Changers Shape Scenario and How Major Powers Fare in Scenario to get an idea of what's going on. For example, if you choose to write about the fusion scenario, you may want to review pages 120 to 121 to get an idea of what's going on. For main point 4, identify and summarize the differences among state values and goals, religions, ethnic groups, and non-state actors. What is different about people's identities in this world, and why? How does your theory explain this? In general, main point 4 and its issues of identity are by far the most difficult for students to explain. They're the toughest in general. Besides the 2 pages entitled How Game Changers Shape Scenario and How Major Powers Fare in Scenario, I strongly urge you to look at my tips for how to discuss issues of identity. My tips are found under the Tips and Advice for Creating Your Outline section of the final paper outline and tips area of this guidance. I strongly urge you to look at these and use them to help you organize your response. Again, check out my tips that are found under the Tips and Advice for Creating Your Outline section of the final paper outline and tips area of this guidance. I think it'll really help you with this issue. For main point 5, give me your recommendations for preparing for this world. What do you think we should do given the events in the world scenario you described? What does the theory you used to analyze main points 4 and 2 through 4 suggest? One idea would be to pick 2 to 3 pressing security, economic, and identity issues which must be addressed. For example, let's say you analyze the genie out of the bottle world. From this, you argue that the most pressing security issue facing the United States is terrorists armed with WMD. The most pressing economic issue is economic inequality in the Middle East, and the rise of extremist religious identities is the most pressing identity issue. Now, how would you deal with these problems given both the theory you selected and the world you have analyzed? For example, let's say you picked economic structuralism to analyze the genie out of the bottle world. One of the solutions you may advocate might include reducing income inequality through wealth redistribution. Finally, for the conclusion, restate your thesis and summarize the 5 main points. Be clear yet concise. Just identify and remind me of what you did. Well, that's it for this week. Please contact me if you have any questions.